Everyone, and welcome to Vlogmas Day 3, if I'm not mistaken. If I end up being wrong about that, ignore this part. But as you guys know, the current trend of Vlogmas, at least here on this channel, is that things are a bit ambiguous, and I'm working through that. But I woke up this morning hoping to take you all through my normal morning routine, which is waking up about an hour and a half earlier than when I have to clock in, and doing more personal development. So I usually get up, get some cardio in, walk the dog, come back, make my coffee, do some personal admin, some passion project updates, and then I jump into corporate work. But that's just not how it went. I did not get a good night's sleep. I think I just have a lot of nerves running and a lot of thinking about what's next and planning, and I was researching some animation stuff for the channel, and yeah, that just kept me up. And so this morning my usual alarm went off and I was like no, time went at warp speed. There's no way that I've slept tonight. It just felt like I blinked and then I was up. So I decided to just snooze 3 more times, and then just woke up and got straight to corporate work. So really didn't get into too much personal development. Dustin walked Bruno for me, so didn't really have to do that. And that's just how it is sometimes, sometimes you have to just rejig things, and that's fine. So jumped right into corporate work. I did some scripting, some recapping from a team summit that I just came back from. Yeah, and then took a mid-morning shower, and then now I am here. Now I am awake. I've also had 2 cups of coffee already. This will probably end up being a 3-cup kind of day, if you know what I mean. But as far as what's the plan, what's on the agenda, so my desk is a mess right now. Y'all can't see it, but it looks like Vlogmas or Hurricane Vlogmas came through and just jacked everything up. So I'm gonna do a quick cleanup, 5-minute cleanup, and then I have to jump into doing some focus work. I have some edits to do for a presentation that's due this week, and I was falling a bit behind with getting sick and then traveling. My floors were getting ripped up about a month ago, so it's just really throwing me off my schedule. So I'm gonna get into that. I have 2 meetings today that are kind of back to back, and that's kind of what's on the agenda. Now, obviously any work related stuff I can't really share for obvious reasons, but I'll try to at least engage and give you guys a cliff note of what I'm doing and what's going on. I'm feeling very anxious today, I can't lie. It's just a lot of moving parts, and I've never really had to juggle work and YouTube stuff in this type of way. I mean, I have, but not like this. So we're gonna figure it out together. I think there's gonna be obviously a lot of ambiguity when it comes to the series and how I do things. And so just as much as a surprise as it is to y'all, it's gonna be to me. So thanks for bearing with me as I figure this out. And yeah, let's clean up. All right, so I am back. I have a nice clean workspace, just how I like it. I have my coffee that I'm indulging in right now. And then as always, I like to keep some water close by. I don't know about y'all, but if I go a whole day and the water is not next to me, I'll forget to drink it. And so I have my huge tumbler right here. And this one is very near and dear to my heart because it was made in collaboration with my girl, Andrea of Coco Michelle. If you guys recognize her artwork, then you'll be able to see this is all her. It is in collaboration with Brewmate. I know everyone uses the Stanley cup, which is fine, but I love it. This one has a locking top on it where you can turn this to seal or sip, or turn it midway to take the straw out and do a deep clean. So I really love this. I just never got on the Stanley bandwagon, and that's fine. And obviously that's not sponsored. I support my girl. Andrea is my bestie. We've been through so much together when it comes to freelancing. And what's funny is right when I got back into the corporate world, she did too. So we're having similar experiences, which is, I don't know, it keeps us connected in a way that I can't really explain. But yeah, got my water, got my coffee, and I'm going to lock in and get some focus work done. I will probably try to time lapse it, and then y'all can work with me if you need a study buddy or a work buddy to get through your day with. I'll go ahead and set it up, but time to get to work. All right, everyone, so it's been probably about, I want to say 2 hours since I was on here and kind of doing the time-lapse work. So I finished doing all the edits that I need to do. I had a meeting with my director. We ran through our presentation. I think we're pretty happy with it. Just have to do a few minor tweaks, which I'm going to do now. And I know that I'm in like more of a technical role and I spend a lot of my time like on a computer, but for you guys that are wondering, I still use a notebook for everything. This is like my work notebook, which I obviously can't show because there are private work stuff in here. But if I'm ever sitting in meetings, like I'm getting feedback about a presentation, I usually take all the notes here because once you have your screen set up a certain way to present, I don't want to go clicking around and kind of mess with the flow. So this works great. And I'm sure you guys have seen this notebook before. It's by Penco. It's their general notebook. And I have like 2 of these. I'm trying to figure out what to do with the other one. I'm not bullet journaling as much, but I'm trying to get back into it. I'm also trying to find a bullet journal that is maybe more structured to make my life a bit easier, but maybe that just means that it's time for me to create one. You know what I mean? Like I bought so many journals along the years and none of them really stick. Either they're too detailed and too guided where I don't have a lot of freedom, or it's just like a dotted notebook where I'm doing all of it from scratch. And unfortunately, I don't have as much bandwidth as I used to, so that makes things kind of hard. But yeah, that is complete. I'm gonna take the next hour to take in all of my director's feedback that I collected, plug it into my presentation notes, and yeah, then I have another meeting right after that. So we're gonna get back to work and I will check in when I have some more to update, and of course, staying hydrated. So yeah, I hope you're all having a good day and I will check in when I can. Bye. Okay, so I was locked in and definitely productive, but I just saw the time. It's already 2:03 and I haven't eaten and Bruno needs to go for a walk. So I think I'm gonna just call this a break, take a lunch before my next meeting, and take this little guy out because he just had an accident in the living room and it was unavoidable. I was stuck in meetings. Unfortunately, when he's in here, I have to just close my office door and let him be. And so I come out and there's a mess. So I'm gonna take a break from here, take him on that walk, maybe eat some ramen or something, just something really quick that I can make at home, and then jump into my 3 o'clock. So let's go. So we're back. Look how red my nose is. It is so cold outside. But just gonna wash up and then try to make some lunch. Look at this Grinch soap. Just gotta keep things festive, I guess. But yeah, if you're living in, I mean, I'm not gonna even say New York. If you live anywhere and you're not coming back in and washing your hands, like, what are you really doing? Like, it's really gross outside. Germs, flu season. So yeah, I wash my hands multiple times a day. I need to eat something before the next meeting. I really don't like eating during meetings. I think that's really weird and kind of rude. So I am probably gonna make some ramen. Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be the easiest thing because I could order, but it's gonna cost more money and it's gonna take a while to get here. And what I don't have right now is time. So yeah, I'm gonna make ramen. So I literally have y'all propped up against my air fryer and dog treats. You know, just do what you gotta do. So I'm gonna tidy up this area. This is where I was making my coffee this morning and it's become a bit of a mess. Dustin and I got this really cool tray thing from Home Goods and I'll show you all a better view of it, but I think it was for bathrooms, but I thought about the kitchen, like the lack of counter space that we have, and I'm like, this is the perfect like 2-tier shelf. Like it works beautifully. So I'm gonna basically put out like my most used items, the coffee that I'm drinking right now, and put everything else up. So I don't really need these 2 things. I found a recipe on TikTok by the creator Cassie. I'll add her somewhere so you guys can see her videos and support her, but she has this really good ramen recipe. It's my go-to every time I make ramen. I never stray, and she always eats it out of the pot, but the pot that I have is usually huge and it gets in the way. So I'm gonna use this one. I'm gonna give it a quick clean because, you know, we don't eat out of anything that's just come out of a factory. You gotta wash it. So we have a nice clean pot, and now it's time for the ramen. So I will show you guys. So this is my go-to flavor for ramen. Listen, we can go all day back and forth with this. Argue with your mama. This is definitely my favorite, and Cassie mentions it as well. It is the stew type. I don't know if you can see that. It is the stew type, and I really like it, and I'm gonna show you guys how I make it. It's nothing revolutionary, but it's just always chef's kisses. So let's make it. Okay, so you wanna get a fire going and add some water. And I wanna say like maybe about 2 cups. I don't wanna do too much, but I also like my ramen pretty soupy, so I'll do about that much. If I need extra water, I'll add it. And you let that come to a boil. Now again, Cassie has this on her TikTok. I will try to put a link somewhere so y'all can watch it. You don't have to watch my crazy chaotic version of it, but I also didn't want to just plug her video without her permission. So we'll see how this goes. So I decided to grab my little tripod. I got it on Amazon a long time ago, and it just works perfectly so you guys can see what's happening. So obviously the water is boiling up. Once you get it to a boil, you're going to add your ramen. Now, I had to buy this ramen online because I couldn't find it in stores near me. So unfortunately, it's all broken up, which doesn't make me happy, but it is what it is. Go ahead and take your packets out and then dump all of it in. And then Cassie also does this in her video, and it's definitely my new thing, but I like to add tteokbokki to it just to add a bit more substance. It's also known as rice cake. So if you want to add some rice cakes to your ramen, again, just some more substance. And I actually freeze mine because I kept a packet like this like on the counter or in a shelf, and I noticed they were going bad. So I just freeze them now. Of course, they get warm when you cook them with the ramen. I'm gonna throw a few pieces in, not too much. I'm really gonna spend my whole lunch making ramen, but hey, it's worth it. So we're gonna let that cook up. Let those rice cakes get a bit softer. And again, you can have less or more water. It's totally up to you. And now I'm gonna add the powdered ingredients before everything gets a little bit too soft. So add that in. Then we're also gonna add sauce. Make sure you add all of it. I always tell Dustin that he squeezes packets like a serial killer and squeezes toothpaste like a serial killer. I hate to see it. Like, why can't you just squeeze it like a normal person? Try to keep our space clean. So I turned the heat down just a bit because I don't want everything to get super mushy, and we haven't even added the egg yet. So, oops, my Band-Aid. So I'm gonna mix this up. And now I'm gonna add the star of the show, which is the egg. If you don't use egg, or you don't eat egg, or if you're like my sister and you're allergic to eggs, then obviously just skip this step. So I'm gonna turn the heat down just a bit more. Don't wanna overcook anything. And we're gonna drop the egg in. I am not good at like one hand cracks, so don't come for me. I'm just not good. I've tried a million times. And all that I'm gonna do is end up with shells all inside of my ramen, and we cannot have that. So, and then now is the time that you put on the lid and you let that egg poach. So while that's happening, I'm gonna grab some scallion, my sesame seeds, and sesame oil, because she adds that in there as well. I also like to add like some fresh cucumbers to this. Don't ask, I just feel like it really helps to kind of cool everything down. It's just a completely different like texture and taste, but I'm out, okay? When you have a vegetarian living in the house, which is Remy, your vegetables go really fast. So we're just gonna use the green onions and cilantro, sesame seeds, and sesame oil. Get my green onions cut up so that by the time the egg is done, I can just dump them right in. And then I will have like just enough time to gobble this down, and then I'll have to join my next meeting where we're kind of doing a status, or what a lot of companies will call a stand-up meeting. And now we're gonna start adding everything in. So she adds a little bit of sesame oil. She adds her green onions. And like, again, just from eyeballing it, I'm gonna add a tad bit more water because I like a soupy ramen. I'm gonna add some sesame, ooh, damn, some sesame seeds, a little bit of cilantro. These have been rinsed off, so they are good to go. Okay, we're gonna turn the heat off because that's enough. And then finally, I like to end with a tiny bit of garlic powder. Cassie does not do this, but again, it's just my little add-on because I do love garlic. And there you have it. Big, I'm not gonna say it's big. It's probably like just enough for one person, but a nice bowl of ramen all cooked up. And I can just take this over to my desk. I'm gonna put it on like a cork mat so that it's kept safe and doesn't burn everything up. But that's my lunch. Okay, so I just finished eating like right on time, and now I'm going to jump into my last meeting of the day, which is like a team stand-up where we have engineers, marketing, all of that. So let's jump in. All right, so it is a few hours later, and I think I'm officially clocking out for the day. Like, I think I'm done. So last time I checked in, I was finishing up with some like side editing that I had to do for a presentation. I jumped into another meeting. That meeting kind of led to more work. And so I was doing some research until I decided to clock out. So it's about like 5:40. And yeah, I think I'm done. But I also thought this was a great opportunity to talk more about like the work and what I actually do as a career, because it's been a while, obviously, and I haven't discussed that with the community, with you all just yet. So let's just do that. So for those of you that were following my channel a little while back, I was fully freelance. So I was an IT manager, director for a while. I left that side of the tech world and then went fully into freelance illustration. And I did that for about 4 to 5 years. And I had multiple streams of income that included brand partnerships, UGC, commissions, running my Etsy shop, content creation, which is always a constant, I think, and like, you know, various other small projects. And that was fine for a really long time. I had my ebbs and flows, as one does in business, in solopreneurship, as they call it. And then around September of last year, September of last year, because I've been in this career for about a year and like 2 months, I became a QA engineer / analyst. And so I'm not going to go into super detail about every little thing that I do, because obviously some of it is disclosed and I'm not going against any NDAs, all right? Like, I don't want to get sued. But the basis of my job is to do research and analyses about the market, about users, about UI features, and present them to a team of stakeholders. And that could be really just all across the spectrum. Like, I don't want to get too specific. And I think the job is very fitting because I've always been a super curious person, and I tell everyone that I know I'm basically like a private investigator, like deep down in here somewhere, because I can find anyone or anything within reason. I grew up in the age of the internet where things weren't really automated or kind of handed to you, so I know how to dig. So if you have an ex that you're trying to dig up, I can probably find them, but I'm really good at it, and I will go down like deep holes with this stuff. So I guess that makes me pretty good at the job. And then on top of it, the things that I'm researching are usually in the creative field. And so I'm passionate about that. So it makes it a lot easier. I can't say I would feel the same if I was working in pharmaceuticals or oil or anything like that, but creativity, I'm in there like swimwear, okay? So that is basically the gist of my job. And then once I do these analyses and I found this information, I have to find a creative way to present it to stakeholders in a way that's influential. And I would say that part of the job is probably a lot harder than the research, but they're both fairly tedious. They both take a long time. And I would say if that's not a strong suit for you, you probably would not enjoy this job as much, because it would be like an uphill battle trying to, you know, get all that together. So that's basically what I do. And the job kind of ebbs and flows. It just depends on what we need as like a software development team. But yeah, that's the gist of it. I end up working with marketing a lot, engineers, of course, other people on my team, a few directors, I would say biz ops, maybe like, I don't know, once in a blue moon, design, UI design. So yeah, it just depends on where we are in the process, in the software development cycle. So that's basically what I do. So it is fairly technical, but there's also a bit of creativity involved. It makes the job a lot more enjoyable than if I was just doing some like remedial task every day, which is nothing wrong with that, but my brain just, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I can do that. With that said, I love what I do for a living. I love my teammates and I am passionate about the work that I'm doing. But something that has always been very important to me and near and dear to my heart is that I keep my identity as much as possible. And I think a travesty and something that happens to a lot of people, including myself, is that you join an organization and you make that your identity. So even when you meet people and you ask them, what do you do? They automatically like mention their career and rarely mention their passion. And I'm guilty of doing that too. But what comes along with that is you basically being absorbed by an organization. And we've seen with the recent landscape with, big tech and FANG, like people have been laid off from companies they've been in for like 9+ years. And when you make that your identity and then that company decides that they want to part ways with you, your identity goes with them. And to me, that can be very dangerous. And so it doesn't matter what kind of job I was applying for, whether it was IT management, community resource manager, because that was a job that I had applied for. I always mentioned during the interview process that I expected to still be some version of myself. Like I cannot stop being Sheena, the content creator. I can't stop being She Meets City. Like I've worked so hard on this and I want to find a way to almost like coexist, like do both in tandem. And I needed a company and a team that would accept that. And so I am definitely one of the luckier people who is able to continue what I do in some aspect. I feel like what you do outside of your 9 to 5, outside of the VPN, is who you truly are. And without those passions, I think it kind of leaves you soulless. And I'm not gonna lie, I was there for a while and it led to just like very deep depression. So if you're someone who has either had to pivot back into the corporate world or you're considering it, I just want to remind you that if you have a choice, if you're able to somehow finagle this, just try to keep as much of yourself as possible as you're going into, a corporate company. You're on someone's payroll. Just try to hold on to that as much as possible. Now, when it comes to art, because obviously that was a big part of this channel, and so obviously I would like to discuss it. I still want to do some version of what I was doing in the past, but it may just show up a bit differently. And I think I've always been someone who has been willing to take you all behind the scenes with me and show you the good, the bad, and the ugly of all these processes. And I think because now I'm kind of like rebranding myself, this may be the perfect time to kind of go through that again. So I'm still looking to revamp and reopen my shop, Brooklyn Post, which is now going to become a different name. I'll go into all of that in the recap video. I'm still working on being, I'm already a published illustrator, thanks to my latest collaboration, but I would like to be published more. I want to be involved with more projects as far as like editorial, books, anywhere that I can show up in that space. Yeah, I have a lot of things that I want to work on. If anything, being in this career kind of allows me to not be in like a feast or famine mindset and really be able to focus on the things and the projects that I'm really passionate about. And I think every artist can attest to the fact that you get to a place sometimes where you're working on commissions and you have all these one-to-one clients lined up. And sometimes you look back and you're like, I wasn't really passionate about that, but they were paying me and I needed the money, so I took it. And I don't want to be in that headspace moving forward. There were a lot of projects that I worked on that fell flat, which again, I will detail in the recap video, but they took such a big part of me. And as I always say, like time is not a replenishable resource. When you're giving that up to people, you have to be very mindful. And so I'm just in a much better headspace as far as, once again, cherry picking the projects that I'm really passionate about and putting the ones that I am not as passionate about on the back burner or out of sight, out of mind. As always, thank you for supporting me. I hope like this adds a bit more context to what my career is. If any of you were like confused or like, what does she do? Is she a graphic designer? No, I'm not. No, I am not. Thank you for joining me for another day of Vlogmas. I'm gonna get to editing and then I really have to figure out how I'm gonna do the recap sit down because I'm literally trying to go into chronological order, and I'm wondering if that's a mistake. But it's been so long that I kind of don't just want to say, this happened, this happened, this happened, happy Vlogmas. That feels wrong. So I'll find a creative way of doing it. Y'all know how I am. I always find a creative way of doing these things. So thanks for bearing with me. The videos will get better. The thumbnails will get better. Everything will just get better over time. So I appreciate your patience with that. I hope you all are having an amazing evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. Thanks as always for the love. This is your girl signing off, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.